Welcome back, Fionnuala.
Thanks,
Now,
Ash. Good to be here.
In this chapter, we are going to discuss a very interesting and area about conflict
Yep.
resolution and conflict management.
Yeah.
And conflict is one thing which can increase the temperature of the environment
so much.
very fast.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the picture. Let's see what we've got.
So here you can see that there are two frogs which were eyeing a fly,
Yep.
but ultimately they got so engrossed in an argument that they've forgotten the bigger picture
Yeah.
and what they were working towards. What was their goal? What was their
Yeah.
what was their end point they were looking for? So conflict management is a really crucial skill because it is not uncommon when you are working with people in any organization to be across people where there are conflict of ideas, conflict of values, and people.
Yeah, they lock swords. There's
They
so
lock
many.
sword.
Yeah, so many reasons why. And it may be that you have two people who have really good ideas about a project and want to take things forward, and both ideas are really valid, and there's evidence behind them, and both have vision, but they're different ideas. And there's a way to talk about those ideas that is productive, and there's a way to talk about those ideas that is not productive and won't get anyone anywhere. So we're talking about this kind of negative conflict where maybe both parties are so attached to getting their plan implemented, or maybe believe so much in their plan, but just that opposition is not something that they can cope with. Their emotions are maybe getting the better of them. So you could get that tongue-tied thing that the frogs have. They're just so mired in that nothing is going to move forward.
And you mentioned about the emotions.
Yeah.
The intensity of the emotions
Yeah.
can be very high. Whether it is the wanting to be right, it can generate anger.
Yeah.
It can generate frustration.
Yeah. It becomes a goal in itself.
It becomes a goal in itself to basically have my way.
Yeah. It's ego.
It's an ego thing as well.
Yeah. And
So,
status maybe too.
Status, ego, and also it is important to understand the kind of organization one is working in when you are in a particular situation of
there
a conflict.
There could be a political element. So we need to be employing social and emotional intelligence, these skills that we visited before. And I think one thing there is always take a little bit of time. If you feel angry and upset and the other person is angry and upset, find a way to step back. And you might just take a breath and say, okay, I need to go away and process a little and think this one through. Go away, have your emotion. Ask yourself with self-awareness and self-accountability, what's my part in this? What do I want? And then another vital thing is to think, how could we both get what we want that would serve this common goal? How can the different things that we're bringing to this serve this common goal? So you have to be asking, what is the common goal?
Right.
How can we put what we're passionate about into the service of that and manage these emotions that we're having? And the emotions might be telling you useful things. How attached you are, how passionate you are about your values, but also maybe you feel defensive. Also maybe there are other things in there that you can tease out that it would be better not to have in that situation when you're trying to take something forwards. So it's fully okay to say, could we take a moment? Could we just step back a little? I need to process. And it's also making me think about the quote that you used in a different section from Viktor Frankl, that between the stimulus and the response, there's a space when we can decide what that response is going to be. So give yourself the space. If you feel like throwing a shoe at the wall or something, don't do it in the room with that other person. Go away, take a bit of time. And they might be quite grateful for that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, one has taken a pause.
Yeah.
And then taken a deep breath.
Yeah, and it might just be a pause in the room to think. Maybe you don't need to go somewhere else. You need to think, exactly.
Yeah. And then one has connected into their emotions, and rather than jumping and being impulsive, one is trying to collect themselves, find out what their emotions are, trying to rise above the ego and then thinking where is the other person coming from, and trying to see their perspective, and see whether whether one can find a common ground. Now you cannot always win in this situation, Funela, but in a lot of in a lot of situations, when you have a bigger picture approach, when you're especially when you're working in a teams, definitely I have been in situations where there have been situations of high level of conflict or slightly lesser level of conflicts, but if the approach has been more of understanding, looking at the other person's perspective, rising above the ego, and seeing that can you create a win-win approach here, and what is the bigger picture, then I feel that one can go much far.
Absolutely. And maybe the solution is a hybrid of both of these ideas that you're working with, but there is a way that people can win in the sense that those can be put to the service of the greater goal, perhaps. Yeah.
Also, Funela, there are situations in teams and dysfunctions of the team which are more of a low-grade conflict, which is in an environment. There are personality problems, there are personality conflicts, there are conflicts in ideas, and one has to be also realistic about things and see, is this something, because again, keep in mind, and this is something which we are going to discuss in the next chapter, is about microstress. Chronic conflict can cause microstresses. Chronic conflicts, low levels of conflicts or dysfunctions can be erosive to our health, to our immune system, and it has to be addressed. You cannot ignore the elephant in the room.
But although some people will, which is why we say bring your reflective awareness.
Bring your reflective awareness to it, and you have to basically call it out, and you have to say, okay, this is the situation we are feeling. I can feel that there is some level of unhappiness, some level of friction going on, and how do we deal with that?
And own your own part in it. And also, maybe it's hard to solve on your own or with this other person or group. Maybe you need to bring somebody else
mediation.
in. You
Sometimes
can have
mediation can be helpful.
Or you could go and talk to your coach or your mentor or a friend, work things out a little that way, come to a sense of awareness. And again, the book gives some really great strategies. It'll take you through reflective awareness around conflict, the sorts of things you can do. There's a great question here. Think about the last time you experienced a conflict with another person. What emotions did you feel and how did they affect your actions? That's quite a good thing to sit with. What's happened in your past? What did you feel? It might give you some flags for the future. So in each section, we have 5 reflective awareness questions. That's pretty much uniform throughout the sections. And then we've got these reflective leaps to action. And that really tells you what you can start to do, from small steps to maybe planning a whole sequence of actions that you can take. What steps can you take to create an environment that minimizes the likelihood of conflict? So that's interesting. What's the proactive approach? That sounds to me like it's about connection in an organization and people getting to know each other and communicate with each other. And I know in conversations that we've had, Ash, that you seem like somebody who's very energetic in the work environment in terms of just creating connection for people on a daily basis. We mentioned celebration before when something goes well. So surely that must help promote an atmosphere where it's easier to manage conflict, or where perhaps conflict might arise less.
Yes. No, definitely you are creating a more fertile soil where people are feeling valued on a day-to-day basis. And if you are living in the frequency of gratitude, or you're living in joy, then it is more unlikely that that you will be creating conflicts where it's more blame or shame approach. So I think it's if we have an approach, inclusive approach of a teamwork,
inclusive,
the likelihood and possibility is lower. I'm not saying it will never happen. it can still happen because people are people, and
course.
it is. I mean, during the COVID situation, also we saw a lot of conflict happen because when people are stressed, again they can be living at their limbic system, and they are not using the rational part of their brain, and that itself can create a landscape for conflict.
Yeah.
So I think what we discussed just now, that saying that I am in a situation of a conflict, putting a label there also creates some level of a emotional distance. Okay, now I have to solve this problem. Otherwise, if we just pretend as if nothing is happening,
Denial.
there is some denial.
Yeah.
There's some unhappiness, but kind of we continue to the same thing.
And the other person may become very frustrated because they know something's wrong.
Yes, so you have not kind of acknowledged it, and that also doesn't help. So bringing things to the awareness, and then rising above the ego, seeing the bigger perspective, finding a common ground, always being polite, courteous, and all the strategies I've shared with you can help, I would say, in a huge proportion. And there, of course, there will be some kind of situations where there is so much difference of values or kind of personalities, and then at least you know that this is an unhealthy landscape we are living in, and it's not sustainable in for a long-term basis. You would agree that long-term conflict is erosive? It affects the health, mental, emotional.
Oh, it's the killer.
It's a killer.
It really is.
It's a killer.
Yeah.
Well, Fionnuala, thank you so much for sharing these incredible insights. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I will further discuss in the next section of microstress management how chronic stress feeds into microstress, and share more with our listeners.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review, a like, or subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people looking to transform their stress into new comfort. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to comment and share. For more tips and updates, please be sure to check out our social media links in the description box below. We can't wait to have you with us next time as we continue this journey towards turning stress into resilience. Remember, it's not the stress itself, but how we rise above it that defines our strength. So stay resilient and keep thriving, and we will see you next time.